poppin', people of YouTube? So today I want to talk about race riots and kids getting shot at my school, right? So I'm talking about when I went to school, high school specifically. So I went to high school in about 2000. I graduated 2004. So ninth grade, I went to Garfield High School. Garfield High School is a Stand and Deliver, if you've ever seen that movie. So I was actually the only Armenian in that school. It was 99.9% Mexican, specifically Chicano. That's what they call themselves, right? So ninth grade, I went there. I loved that school, man. I used to kick it with the cheerleaders, and then I started kicking it with the football players. It had a amazing football team, amazing cheerleader squad, all this shit, you know? That school was dope as fuck. And it was dope because no one knew what the fuck an Armenian was in East LA. It was just weird. They're like, what the fuck are you? I'm Armenian. Or what? Armenian? Or this or that, you know? Iranian? Nah, bro. Armenian, you know? So it was cool when people don't recognize you or your people. You're no longer judged by the best and worst stuff, you know? They just judge you for you. And me, I always had a good personality. I was always in with the cool kids, so I fit in well everywhere, you know? Plus I grew up on the streets, so I was street savvy. Now at Garfield High School, my ninth grade year, 3 kids died from shootings. I believe one was inside the school, 2 were literally in front of the school entrance. In one of the cases, it was all gang related, by the way. In one of the cases, like another kid his age from a different high school or whatever, different gang obviously, shot him in front of the school, left. The next day, he came and posted up in the exact same place. He shot the dude in a wife beater and everything, and the cops straight fucking took him. Now, for you people outside of LA that never had to deal with the shit we go through in our school districts, right? This might shock you guys, but those kids didn't die at school. Those kids died at the hospital. You understand what I'm saying? There's a reason why that shit doesn't hit the news. It's not a mass school shooting. It just gang related shit, you know? And they try to sweep all of that under the rug. Now, Garfield High School is in East LA. I lived at the time I had moved from East Hollywood to South LA, or the beginning of South LA, Metro to be exact, you know? And I was just tired of waking up early and going to school over there, you know? So I decided to, you know what, let me get moved to the school I should have gone, which was close to home, of which was world famous Hollywood High School. I fucking hated Hollywood High School, man. So I got there in 10th grade. For middle school, I actually took the bus and went to a school in the Valley. I went to Madison Middle School, which was a dope-ass school. I love that school. Now, for you people outside of LA, inside of our schools, we have racial tension. There's a lot of race riots that go on. Hollywood High School is pretty notorious for this. Grant High School is pretty notorious for this. A bunch of schools in South LA are notorious for this. Now, first, I wanna make this clear. Even though at that time all these kids were involved in race riots, meaning one race of kids would literally engage in violence with another race of kids, right? I never saw it as racist. I really didn't see it as racist. And here's why. I was always a bright kid and I looked past what's happening, okay? And for the majority of time, those very same students were happily mingling, hanging out, eating with, sharing, being kind with the other race. Everyone got along fine. It was only when certain situations happened that like a division occurred and a riot took place. Everyone was young. Everyone makes mistakes at that age. I don't believe any of those kids were really racist, because I never really had people look at me like just, yeah, I mean, I went through a whole bunch of racist situations, but I never considered them racist. I was even involved in some of that shit, and I'm not racist. Like, I love Mexicans, you know what I'm saying? All types of Hispanics, and I'm gonna get into how deep that goes, right? So me personally, I was a little different than everybody else at the school. So I was a rare breed at the school. First of all, I was the last of a certain generation, and that generation was like that street culture, raised in the street, played in the street. You were out in the street all day, all night, and all kinds of crazy shit happened every fucking day, and it was literally like survival, you know? It was filled with gang violence, it was filled with territories and gangs and all this shit. So I was the end result, like the last of the dying breed of that generation. When I went to high school in 10th grade, all my friends were, not all, but most of my friends were in high school, in Hollywood High School. Some of them were a little older, so they weren't in high school. And I had friends from different neighborhoods, different places, different, you know. I had a bunch of Hispanic friends. Like, these were my friends. These were the people I hung out with every fucking day. I mean, outside of school. So unlike majority of these other kids that hung out with people their age, I hung out with the older kids because I was the end of that generation. So at 16, I was doing the stuff 24-year-olds were doing. So my level of maturity while I was in Hollywood High School was a lot different than everybody else's. Plus, my friendships and my bonds and my connections were all outside of the school. Inside the school, I was on my own. Now, as far as the Hispanic community went inside Hollywood High School, I believe they were the dominant group, which held something like 60-70% of the school was Hispanic. It was maybe like 20-30% Armenian, and it was like 10% a mixture of Black, Asian, and just a variety of other people, you know? So, like any school in LA, when you have two predominant races, situations occur. And I'll tell you exactly how situations occur. So me personally, by the time I got to 11th grade, race riots had already taken place. I was new to the school. I kind of got into it with my fellow Armenians over there. Like, I just got into it with them, and I was just like, fuck you, I'm doing me. That's it. And I made a decision that, you know what, I'm just gonna hang out with my female friends. And I would literally hang out with 2, 3, sometimes 4 females every day. Nutrition, lunch, after school, and then I'll go kick it with my homies, you know? And these girls were, 2 of them were like 2 of the hottest girls in school. So there was a lot of jealousy and envy that everyone was trying to spit game at them, and they would brush them off. But I was their friend, and I would protect them and all that shit, you know? Because surprisingly, both of them were mixed. They were both half Armenian and half something else, you know, half German, half this, half that, half just mixture, you know. But beautiful people, beautiful inside and out. Now, As far as the Hispanics went at that time at Hollywood High School, right? There was a dude named Monster. That's his nickname. Monster from 18th Street. And I believe it was Hollywood 18. Well, me and Monster were really fucking tight, you know? Because Monster knew me from outside the school, and I knew him from outside the school. And Monster knew who I was, who my friends were. He knew, like, some of my closest friends were Mexican, and they were actually from South Central, and they were like in their mid-20s. So Monster knew me for me, and he knew me as a real dude, man. Not someone pretending to be something he's not. He knew I wasn't the gang member, but he knew all my affiliations, and he loved the fact that I understood exactly what he understood because I grew up in it, just like he grew up in it. And he despised what I despised, which was, we looked at it like they were phonies, you know, like people would come from different places to partake in what they thought were cool for the wrong fucking reasons. For example, growing up in Hollywood, we hated when dudes would come from Glendale and try and prove to themselves that they were cut from the same cloth, you know? Where we stayed the fuck out of Glendale. Glendale to Armenians at that time was like South Central for black people. We just knew if you go to Glendale, you're gonna get pulled over, you're gonna get harassed, you're gonna get all these fucked up things happen to you by the police. So for us growing up in the hood, in the middle of it, it was an everyday thing to survive. It wasn't some shit to be proud of. It wasn't some shit you went out trying to recruit for. It wasn't some wild shit. It was like, no, man, these are the people I grew up with. These are my family and friends, and we're protecting each other, and we're all just trying to make a better fucking life for ourselves in the middle of this fucking chaos, right? So Monster had this immense respect for me, and I had this immense respect for Monster. So I'm gonna tell you exactly how a particular race riot took place. So there was this, at this point in time, I'm in 12th grade. I'm already 18 years old. I'm on like school probation, meaning any fuck up and they're kicking me out. Anything, any little thing, they were just itching to kick me out, you know? So what happens is, I guess there was this fresh off the boat Armenian kid, and this Hispanic girl disrespects this dude somehow, and he doesn't cut his tongue short, and she basically fucking attacks him by saying, you know, fuck Armenians, and fuck your mom, and this. And this dude, being fresh off the boat, he slapped the shit out of this girl, you know? He literally slapped the shit out of this girl. And everyone went ballistic that some Armenian dude put hands on a Hispanic girl. Which I understand this, but I kind of looked at it a little differently. Okay, so what ends up occurring is, I'm sorry, I'm gonna take the freeway because I saw a cop straight eye me, man, and I am not about to get pulled over. So I'll just take this and exit the next exit. Oh fuck, is he behind me? No. All right. So, see, this is what happens when you grow up in the hood, man. I can make a video on driving and I'm aware of what the fuck is happening, man. You don't lose that shit. You never lose it, dude. So, this dude slaps the shit out of this girl, you know? And everyone in nutrition is the first break after second period, if you guys don't know. So, nutrition time, everyone's all, like, hyped up and shit. And these Armenian dudes come to me it's the dude that slapped the girl. And he's like, hey, can you go talk to Monster and smooth things out? Because Monster was the dude that was like, when he said jump, everybody jumped. You know what I'm saying? Like, he had that type of respect at the school. As far as the Hispanics went, he was the dude, So, can you go talk to Monster and this and smooth this out? I was like, hey, dog, like, when I needed you guys weren't there. So, fuck off, bro. Go talk to him yourself, So these dudes fuck off to the left. They go do their own fucking thing and whatnot. And I noted, like, I'm still kicking it where like all the Armenians kick it at. I just kick it with these females. Everybody knows, and everybody knows not to fuck with me. Both the Hispanics, both Armenians, both everybody. They just knew I was not the one to be fucked with. I wasn't playing high school games they were playing, So this Hispanic girl that got slapped, she fucking walks her tiny little self into the middle of where all the Armenians kick it at and where these dudes are, and she goes and she starts creating some fucking ruckus, dude. And I'm watching this from afar with hanging out with the homegirls, and just I'm watching, and she's like, she goes up to him and is very hostile, man. Like, just fuck you, fuck Armenians, fuck your mom. And these dudes are a little on edge, and they don't want nothing to do with this girl because they're realizing this is brewing into a race riot. So they're being real calm. But I'm watching it, and I'm thinking to myself, fuck, man. Like, if she was talking to me like that, she'd get slapped the fuck up, bro. So I realized that this girl's gonna get jumped. She's gonna really get her ass beat by these dudes, because she's like really pushing their fucking buttons, like beyond, like finger in your face, just all this shit, right? So I went and I grabbed this girl by her arm real tight, and I just yanked her, It's like, what the fuck you doing? And I didn't even answer. I didn't even look her in the face. I just walked her. And she's like, let go of me. I'm not even looking at her. I walk her all the way to where all the Hispanics are. And I was like, just, take your ass somewhere else, man, just go be, forget about this shit. Now, school, what was he? He was a school counselor. Sees me with this girl yanking the arm, and mind you, this motherfucker's been watching this entire thing happening from a distance. So he saw me when I went and pulled her out and all this shit. He didn't like the fact that I yanked her arm, or whatever the fuck. So this dude tells me, you're coming with me, you're putting hands on her. I was like, you're gonna what? He's like, you're coming with me. I'm gonna take you, and we're gonna consider suspending you. I was like, listen, motherfucker. I was like, I was doing your fucking job. And that's how I talk to them when I'm a grown-ass adult. Like, I don't give a fuck who they were, If you're in the wrong, and I'm gonna tell you straight up, you're in the wrong. I was pretty aggressive kid, I was nice as fuck, but dude, I had that other side, so I was like, fuck you, like, I'm doing your fucking job. Who the fuck are you to take me to suspend me? Where the fuck were you? You were just standing there watching it like a little fucking bitch, and I take her out of the situation, doing your fucking job, making sure she's safe, and then you're gonna fucking take me to go punish me? Go, and he's like, all right, man, whatever, just go to class. I was like, yeah, of course I'm gonna fucking go to class. I'll do your job and I'll still go to fucking class, And he shut the fuck up about it because he knew I was on the right. Like, I was on push that situation exactly like that. Like, you've been standing there watching this shit brewing, and you're doing absolutely nothing, Like, I had some juice with some of the other like the vice principal, and there was another couple counselors that really loved me. There's a few teachers that really loved me. Most of the people either really loved me or hated me. There was no one in the middle. I was just that kid, you know. So, all right, go to class, man. Whatever the fuck. So, I'm going to class now, and these three Mexican dudes, bro, like they just approached me. Literally just walking to class. I see them approaching me. I could see something's gonna happen. They come and they're like, "What's up?" and shit, you know, like whoop-de-whoop. And then I'm like, "All right, you guys, like, check this shit out. I'm gonna tell you guys exactly what's happening right here. I'm 18 years old. We can do this right here, right now. I don't give a fuck. But you guys are gonna get most likely suspended. I'm gonna get most likely arrested. So I tell you what, since all three of you guys had the balls to step to me, after school, soon as the fucking bell rings, you come by Orange Gate, and I'm gonna take all three of you on at the same fucking time. But we're not doing this shit right here, right now, because I'm not gonna get kicked out of school because you dicks have some fucking point to make. So put this shit on ice, grab your balls, meet me at Orange. I'm gonna be by myself, just like you guys caught me slipping by myself. I'm gonna show up by myself." A security guard noticed this conversation, and the security guard noticed from behind me. And I was surprised that they were kind of like agreeing with what the fuck I was saying, because I guess they noticed the security coming. I hadn't noticed this shit. I'm just telling them exactly whatever the fuck I think, you know, of how this needs to go down, so that my ass is covered in terms of not getting kicked out of school. I've never seen these dudes before. They never caught my attention at school. I didn't know who the fuck they were. So now they take me, the security guard grabs me and takes me to the counselor, the same fucking counselor that originally wanted to take me in. And the security guard is, as he's walking, I'm like, "Why are you taking me, man? Like, there's three of them, there's one of me." He's like, "Well, there's three of them, that's why I'm taking you." I laughed. I was like, "Bro, that's fucked up, man. Like, really?" So he takes me and he sits me down in front of my counselor. And now the counselor is like, "You know, I told you to go, and now I hear you're in a situation," and stuff like that. I was like, "Listen, man, I'm gonna tell you exactly what happened. I don't give a fuck, you know? What happened is, you told me to go to fucking class. I'm walking to class. Three people approached me wanting to jump me. And I straight up told them that, you know what? I'm 18 years old. If they want heat, they can fucking see me on Orange. But during school, I'm not gonna do anything, you know?" I was like, "So listen up, man. You're a school counselor. Your job is to ensure my safety and all this shit. Now, I'm on contract for being 18 years old and having other problems and shit, you know, that added up and whatever." I was like, "So do me a solid and send me home for the day or for the next couple days. Let this shit happen and let me come to school afterwards, because I really don't give a fuck about any of this. None of this shit's my problem." He says, "Well, okay, I'll do that for you under one condition." And as we're talking, the school cop comes. And this isn't the school cop that I knew that was cool with us. Some other school cop. And now they're both, you know, "Well, under the condition that you tell us who these three guys are." I'm like, "Listen, I'm not gonna tell you who they are. It doesn't matter who they are. What matters is if you really are concerned with the safety of your students and whatnot, including me, because I'm a student here, just send me home. Because I'm not gonna tell you. I mean, like, what are you setting me up for some other shit? Like, what are you trying to pull on me, man? Like, you don't know if I tell you who these kids are, what that means in terms of the politics that go on at school and shit. You think I'm that person that's gonna sit here and point fingers and say this person did this and that person did that? I told you the situation. He goes, well then I'm not gonna send you home. I was like, really? You're really not gonna send me home after telling you all this shit? He's like, yeah. I was like, okay. He's like, just go back to fucking class. And he wanted to send me to class knowing some other shit is gonna happen, right? So he was writing stuff and he finished writing, and it was, so I grabbed his pencil. I believe it was a pencil and not a pen. I grabbed his pencil and I said, all right, since you're not sending me home during this shit, the next kid that steps up to me, I'm stabbing him in the neck with your pencil. So that then it's both of you guys' problem and my problem. And I straight walked out real quick so that they can't come after me, From there, I had to go get a tardy slip because now I'm late for class. When I go to get this tardy slip, guess who's over there at that fucking room at the tardy office, man? That Hispanic girl that I pulled out. Some ironic shit, right? So I look at her and I was like, I saved you from the ass beating of a lifetime, right? And she tried to ignore me and shit, and I was like, don't fucking ignore me, man. Like, I straight pulled you out of some shit. Technically, you owe me, I was like, you need to acknowledge the fact that fucking I saved you from my ass beating, And she's like, you actually did. Thank you. And I was like, all right, it's all good. No problem. That's all I wanted to hear. I just wanted you to acknowledge it so that you don't go doing that again, I was like, look, I understand they're dudes, but like, they're young, and if you push them far enough, they will jump you, Anybody will at that age. Like, the lack of control people have. I just explained it to her, and then I got through her head, Now, she leaves. I have to wait. And there's Hispanic dudes just lined up. I'm the only Armenian in the room. And some of the dudes were like half-ass thuggish kind of, but not really. Because I know who's real at the school and who's not, and who's made of what and who's not. So this dude questions me like, so, you're the dude that pulled her out and shit. So what the fuck do you think about this shit? You think it's alright for Armenians to just slap girls up and shit like that? I was like, hey homie, let me tell you like this, man. I was like, looking at you, I know who you are, dog. And I know you've been on the street. You're not like the dog raised in the house. You're the dog in the yard. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what's happening outside. He goes, yeah, I do know. I go, all right, homie. So I'm gonna tell you exactly in a different fucking way. All right. I was like, you're a man, right? You got balls between your fucking legs. He's like, yeah. I was like, so on some gangster shit, dog. On some gangster shit. Some bitch you're with, bro, or some bitch you don't know, steps up to you, says, you know what, man, fuck you, fuck Mexicans, fuck where you're from, fuck where you're at, fuck your mom, fuck your sister, and fuck you, alright? As a man, dog, you're not gonna fucking backhand the bitch in her place. on some gangster shit, dog. Like, I'm not talking about like breaking the girl's fucking jaw. I'm not telling you fighting the chick like a man. I'm talking about as a man, just to backhand the bitch, bro. You know, 4 fingers, 5 finger slap. I don't give a fuck. Backhand, front hand, bro. Right? You can do that as a man, right? If someone steps out of line, as a gangster, you need to put some bitch in her fucking place. You can do that shit. And can't nobody tell you anything about that. Right? It's like, yeah, well, I guess I didn't look at it that way. I was like, all right then, man. So you know what the problem is, right? She told him, fuck you, fuck your mom, fuck your race, fuck this, fuck that. The dude didn't have it. He didn't sock her. He didn't kick her. He didn't drop her and beat her. He slapped the bitch one time. So what the fuck is the problem? He's like, yeah, now that you say it that way, man, this does seem to sound like some bullshit. So now I'm going to class, man, and lunchtime comes around, and Monster comes where their means are hanging out, and he comes and he talks to me, and we're just chopping it up, and how you doing, dog? Like, everything good? He's like, man, this fucking nonsense, bro. Like, I'm trying to kill it, and these dudes, they're like, they don't want to, nobody wants to hear it, man. I was like, I know, man. I was trying to explain to people the same fucking thing. Like, you know, he just slapped the girl, trying to put her in her fucking place. I was like, exactly, that's exactly what the fuck I've been saying. And he started laughing because he's been saying the same thing I've been saying without us having a discussion about it, you know? So he's like, dude, like, I think you need to go home, bro, because like, this is getting to a point where I can't control it anymore. There's just too many people that aren't listening, and it's becoming a race riot. I was like, bro, I'm on school probation. I can't really leave like that, dog. I have to go to class, you know? He's like, fuck it, don't even worry about it, man. He's like, everybody knows not to fuck with you anyway, bro. I've put the word out anyways. I was like, I appreciate it. He's like, and that's happened in the past where like, it's an entire race riot going on, and I'll walk through the middle of it, and not a single person will risk putting hands on me for 2 reasons. One is because Monster has laid it out to them that this is my homie, and he's not with this shit, this race fucking nonsense happening at school. And 2, he has homies outside of school that you do not want to fuck with. And I'll get to that point after this story, right? So, well, it's connected to this story. So, Monster tells me that, no, I can't leave. He's like, all right, man, everyone knows not to fuck with you anyway. Just, you know? And I go to class, and then I go to my next class. I think it's 6th period now. And he comes and he opens the door, and he's like, hey, dog, you come with me. You got to leave. And I literally just stepped out. Didn't say anything to the teacher. Just stepped out. He's like, hey, dog, we're both leaving, dog. Fuck this shit. You know? Fuck all these people, man. Nobody wants to listen. No one. It's gonna pop off. It is what it is. I'm like, all right, fuck it, man. Let's dip. You know, I already showed up to class. What's the teacher gonna say? You fucking left early, right? So we hit the fence. We dip out. We go. And then, you know, I go home. I see my friends. I tell them what's happening at school and shit. And my Mexican friends from South LA, Compton, to be exact, East Compton, I think they're like 23 at the time, 24, 22, you know? Homie's like, hey, dog, like, fuck this bullshit, bro. Should we smoke them, dog? Like, we can just go and blast them. Fuck them. Meaning those 3 dudes that stepped up to me and shit. Exactly. If you do you remember their faces? We could just we'll go to school tomorrow, man, and we'll catch them slipping and just fucking pop them off. No, man, you guys are fucking tripping, dog. Like, this shit ain't that serious, bro. This shit's really not that serious, man. Like, I don't think anything's gonna happen. Well, small skirmishes popped off here and there the next day at school. Nothing really happened. I remember I was by the gate. I was just hanging out there, and there's these two Armenian dudes that I knew real well. They're real cool people, but I was hanging out with the females, you know. But they were still, I consider them like friends at school, because they were cool, man, just genuinely type people and stuff. So they happened to just get out the gate too, and we're hanging out, just chopping it up, talking, and I noticed their faces change, and in Armenia, they tell me, like, those three dudes walking towards us, man, like, we had a problem with them earlier. I think something's gonna happen, you know? And these two dudes are younger than me, and smaller than me in size. And I wasn't the biggest kid. I wasn't a big kid, you know, physically, but I was a strong kid. So I told them, all right, bro, just stay put right here. Don't fucking move, okay? Let them come here. As soon as somebody says something, okay, you don't say a fucking word, okay? I go, the tall dude, I got him. You got the other dude, and you got the other dude, man. As soon as they say something disrespectful, like off the bat, all right, you just start swinging, bro. Don't stop swinging until someone's knocked out, you know. And like, I noticed everybody left. All these Armenian kids that were there, they all fucking left. Now it's just the three of us standing there, and it was weird that, you know, this is one of the exits, and it's just the three of us standing there. And the security guard came out because it was like unnatural, you know. And we're just standing there. We're not really saying anything. We're just waiting because they're coming up the block, because they came from in front of the school. The security looked at those kids looking at us and instantly realized what's happening. The security guard didn't ask anything, didn't say anything, just literally stood in front of us, and now we're looking at each other like, I think the security guard is like trying to stop things from happening, but we're not saying anything, you know, because we don't want to let the security guard know what's happening. And these three dudes literally just came, walked past us, and left. And then once the security saw they went around the corner, this dude just left, didn't say anything, you know. And them dudes were like, thank you, man. Like, all these motherfuckers, like, they just straight left us hanging, and you're the only one here that's not even involved in fucking any problems at school with anybody, but you're the only one that had some fucking nuts to stand with us and shit, you know. I was like, yeah, man, you guys are the homies, don't even trip, of course, you know. And so it was a lot of situations like that I gained my respect with people and stuff like that. But I stayed away from that race bullshit, you know. And like I said, I don't think any of that shit was really racism, man. I really don't, because Armenians and Hispanics get along really well. Outside of school, inside of school, on a normal fucking day, the other rest of the time, everybody is great. And then once everybody graduates high school, a different set of maturity kind of besets people, you know. And it's a level of maturity that we're all people in the same fucking world, trying to make it, trying to survive. And a lot of people forget about all that shit that happened in high school. That was just that was just some interesting shit that happened in high school. And no one I knew, because everyone went through it, but nobody ever held on to any of that shit. Like, they took it personal, like, this group of people don't like me and I don't need to like them. And like, no one I knew, neither Hispanic, neither Armenian, neither whatever, no one really held on to those fucking situations as if they were racially targeted. It was just some shit like, you have to be a kid before you're a teenager, and you have to go through teenage shit before you become an adult. And that's exactly what it was, man. It was just a bunch of stuff that happens because you're young, you got all these fucking hormones kicking, testosterone kicking, and you think you know more than you know, and you're more reactionary than, hold on, let me be patient, think about this. And so that's just some of the stories that took place. I have tons of stories I'll tell you guys more about later. And I'm also going to separate out the difference between, like, for example, at Garfield High School, how there was gang violence there, where it was neighborhoods that were entrenched in decades-long gang warfare that would spill off into that school, because that school was like, it was one of those schools, that it had a hold of. Hollywood High School had it too, but since I was the end of that generation, once I was a senior in high school, it no longer, that gang stuff wasn't as predominant, because the prior generation, like, or before me, when there was riots, dudes used to come from school, like gangbangers used to come inside school and partake in the race riots. Dudes from different neighborhoods, it didn't matter what neighborhood, anyone from Hollywood, like your cousin, your friend, your neighborhood, that's how it was then. But during my time, it was more like everybody was involved. And for that reason, during the time I was in Hollywood High School, was the only time they actually locked down the entire school. So I don't know if you guys ever experienced school lockdowns, but what it is like, everyone needs to go to your class or your homeroom, and you're not to leave until we tell you you can leave. And they'll come and dismiss kids and walk them out class by class, just to ensure there is no riots, because that's how wild during my time was. It was no longer like gang affiliated dudes, and it was just them, and everyone wanted to stay out of that because that would spill over on the street, and most kids don't want that type of heat. That's the type of shit that you'll get smoked. It is what it is. You'd get smoked over some high school bullshit. So during that time, it was a lot more violent, but it was fewer people involved in that violence. During my time, it was everybody's like involved in it, but it's not as serious as people are gonna die. So it was different. So during my time, there was a lot of high school lockdowns that took place, man. So shout out to Monster. Monster was a dope ass dude. Sadly, once after I left high school and I moved, and like, I lost contact with the guy, man. And just an awesome dude, man. Shout out to Monster, man. He was a really, really dope dude in high school. Really, really liked the dude, really respected him. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. I'll tell you guys more stories later of shit, I guess. You guys have a nice day.